times where we would go on to the campus and speak with students and just get to know them and learn more about the culture. And while we were there, it was quite often for them to say, yeah, we can talk, for an hour, but then we have to get to class. And next thing you know, 2 hours goes by and you're still sitting there talking. And you say, hey, wait a second. I thought you had to go to class. And they said, oh, it's okay. I enjoy being here and talking with you. And it's not that big of a deal if I go to class. And so that is evidence right there of a relationship prevailing over a task. So that's a nice transition to actual motivation, because again, they're going to be looking at relationships and they want a home life balance, whereas in the United States, work tends to prevail over family. As a matter of fact, I heard a story while I was in Greece of a dad who wanted to go to his son's soccer game, and the boss gave him off time to go to his soccer game, whereas in the United States, that probably wouldn't happen. Again, relationships prevail over task. That is motivation 101 is they will put the relationship at a higher pedestal than the task. And so it might be difficult to try and motivate them to complete the task if it's harming a relationship. So again, I don't think there will be a problem with motivation necessarily as long as that teamwork and communal feeling is there. So lastly, we have our biblical perspective, and that's always good as Christians to keep in mind. And a couple of things that I just want to point out here about Greece in and of itself is that Paul was actually called several times to do missions in Greece. And so that just points out to me is that God really has a plan and a purpose for the Greek people. And we need to keep that in mind when we're doing business with them and interacting with them cross-culturally. And so there's 2 verses in particular that I found apply to business and interacting with people of different cultures. And the first one is from Psalm 37, verses 23 and 24. It says, "The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand." And so to me, this is huge because there might be problems or issues, things that surface that cause you to stumble in communication or teamwork and motivating your employees. But the Lord upholds us. And the other one is Malachi 2:10, which says, "Have we all not one Father, one God that created us?" And so why would we treat them poorly when, we're created by one God? And so when interacting with people cross-culturally between, the United States and Greece, it's important to keep those 3 things in mind. God has a plan for the Greek people, that he upholds us whether we fall in or we stumble with communication or teamwork or motivation. The Lord will still uphold us through that as long as we're following his plan. And lastly, treat everyone, with respect because we're all made by God. So the last few things as we conclude is that Greece is full of beauty, both geographically and culturally, both inside and out. Greece is just a beautiful place with beautiful people. But one thing that we have to keep in mind is what we see, on social media or something like that may not be accurate. And so we have to be aware of, our stereotypes. And then as well as Hofstede paints an accurate picture with the cultural differences between the United States and Greece. And so we have to be aware of those. But All in all, despite cultural differences, communication, motivation, and teamwork can all be effective when working cross-culturally. It's just a matter of being aware of those cultural differences and making a strong point to kind of ease those tensions that may arise. And lastly, here are the references that were used to gather the information for this presentation.